What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Mixed Emotion. I'm your man, Tony T. I got the lovely Miss Keena Thomason with me. Say hello to the people, babe.
Hey everybody.
Don't be so excited. Oh, my goodness.
I think I might need you to introduce me as Keena T if you're gonna be Tony T.
You need to be Keena T. We'll get that on the next episode. All right. So we want to go ahead and get into some conversation about some things that kind of been going on in the news and some things that's been going on in our lives. Can you hear me okay, babe?
I can.
All right, so let's jump right in it. I will let you lead off.
Okay, well, just some things that were on my heart to talk about today. And one of the topics today is just about caring for your aging parents, or in some instances, maybe it's your grandparents. So for me personally, it was my grandparents. And then, after they passed, a little bit even before they passed, we were kind of dealing with your mom and her health issues, and
Sure.
definitely your dad's.
Yeah. So I think the actual only real preparation for it is to just be realistic. They're getting older, and it's a fact that the every day that we live, we're closer to death. And when you start looking at, like Bishop Waddell says, I've got more days in front of me than I do behind me. When you start looking at it logically, you have to
If
think
it's
of,
reverse days behind and in front of me, is that what you meant? More days behind me.
yeah, than in front of me. Yeah. So, so when you start looking at it logically, you just have to prepare yourself, and some people can't do that. Some people cannot do that. Cannot be prepared to lose the people that they love. I'm not sure how you felt about it, but you have a nursing background, so I would think you were able to process that a little bit better than the average person.
Yeah, being the nurse, you can see the writing on the wall. But when it's somebody that you actually love, you still can't, like, mentally prepare for it all, or just really accept that this is really what's going on. But then when you take that professional nurse hat off, you have to realize, okay, Keena, like, this, you gotta get yourself together. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to be doing. So for me, caring for my grandparents, um, it was a lot going on. They weren't in our home, obviously, so it wasn't like a 24 hour hour thing, but it was still like a lot of going to the, particularly my grandmother, going to the doctors with her, taking her to all these visits, and trying to communicate with the rest of the family, and so basically why I wanted to talk about this was, make sure you're helping your grandparents or your parents with their legal issues. Make sure the paperwork is in order. Things like your power of attorneys, your living will. Make sure you know where your insurance policies are and who's the beneficiaries, and so that when it does come for that time, you're not at a loss. You're not struggling trying to go through tons of paperwork and figure out what's what and where's what. That will definitely alleviate a lot of your issues at the end.
So, what do you think was the hardest part for you in that entire process? Because I know you played a role in a lot of it, but what was the most difficult portion?
Uh, the most difficult portion, honestly, for me, for both of my grandparents, were, professionally seeing what was going on with them medically. And my grandfather had initially wanted and directed me to be his power of attorney. But
Okay.
when it came down to actually um, instituting the power of attorney and saying, you know, what we needed to be done and this and that and the other, you know, other family members jumped in because they didn't understand what was going on medically. And so they got in and they interfered with it. And so I had to, you know, step back and let them do it, even though I could tell, you know, this is not what he needs. But it was out of my hand at that point.
Sure,
And
sure.
so,
Was there any medical paperwork?
yeah, like I said, he directed me to be the power of attorney, but they had, you know, they went back and got it rescinded because they didn't agree with some of the decisions I was making for him medically. Initially it was okay, but then, the kids, his kids, they didn't want to, they didn't want to go with what I was thinking, so they went back and kind of like overrode what I was, you know, doing, and they went back and they got power of attorney for one of the other children or whatever it was. But just personally for me, it was knowing that this is the kind of medical work he needs. Like I know he needed like professional therapy and skilled therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, but they didn't want that specifically like in a nursing home environment. So they pulled him out of the nursing home, brought him home, and from there he just pretty much just dwindled into like a shell of himself. So, you know, and as a medical person, you're like, I know he needs this therapy. I know he needs this. I know he needs, but you know, they just like doing whatever grandpa wanted or dad wanted. So
Sure. So do you think that, so you have the medical background, the decisions that you were going to make for your grandfather or for granddaddy were partially decisions that he wanted made, and then the other decisions were because of your medical background. Is that accurate?
he thought that I should be the power of attorney, yes, because of my medical background.
Okay.
Nursing background.
And so that's a big part for me, because when you get people involved in it who are only emotionally involved, they just can't make good decisions. In my opinion,
Yeah,
did you see that?
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Like just everything from like the nutrition, like I said, the physical, the therapy, wound care, just all of that. And you know, and at some point you just have to say, okay, for me personally, because I wasn't the daughter, I was just the granddaughter. And I was just like, you know, I just had to let it go and just be like, you know, it's out of my hands. This is what they want for him, and it was tearing me up because I'm like, I
Sure.
know what he needs.
Right. And then, but I think that you are being, yeah, there's a rank structure. I get that, but you weren't the daughter, you were the granddaughter, but they actually raised you, right?
Right.
You lived with them. You
Right.
grew up in their house. You were an intricate a part of their lives forever, for your entire life and for the end of
Yeah,
their
he
life.
brought
Right?
this to me. I could come to him and say, you know, granddaddy, do you want me to be your power of attorney?
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at this, and sometimes there's jealousy. You know, oh well, he just liked Keena, or you know, he always liked her. You know, and so now I'm gonna play this power card because obviously I've seen it too. But the hardest part for me in that whole thing was sitting back, because I have nothing. I have nothing that I can say. I have a lot vested in it, but I have nothing that I can say, and nobody understands the conversations that he and I had. Nobody understood that. We joke about. He said that he gave me the family, and that is true. He did do that. We
That's
joke
up
about.
for debate, but okay.
We joke about that. However, we had some really, really candid conversations about what he wanted done and the things that he wanted done. And I respected his word. It didn't matter how old he got. I respected what he wanted. But I don't think everybody else did. I think some people started to try to take advantage of his inability to be who he was when he was. And that's not to say that they were doing anything malicious. It's just they were acting out of emotions.
Yeah,
Bec-
definitely.
right.
Definitely. Even so, he agreed for me. You know, he asked me to be the power of attorney, and so medical power of attorney. So, and I asked him about like, do you want me to do real estate too while we're doing all of this? And so, you know, he called the other kids, some of the other kids, and they were like, no, you know, we'll take care of the house. Well, here we sit, you know, like 7, 8 years later, and they lost the house
Right.
because they did not do what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to avoid in the beginning. But sometimes you just have to just let people make their own decisions and just fail. And you just, even though it's hard, like you sit
Right.
back and you're like,
Right.
I know this is what needs to be done, but you know, what can you do? Sometimes you just can't do anything. So.
Right. Right. I mean, definitely difficult, and you know, where I am or what I went through with my family. It started with my mother, and my mother had become sick, and you definitely helped us take care of, and we're flying back and forth to Baltimore, taking care of my mom. I mean, we did some traveling, sometimes not even traveling together.
Right.
I would go and stay, and then you would come, and then you had to come back because we have a family and take care of the kids. But the good thing for me in that situation was I was not truly the decision maker. Her husband was. My pop was the decision maker. But I kind of stuck with reality, and I stuck with what she said. You know, she called us together when she first found out she had cancer. She called all the family home, and she said, "This is what I want. This is what I don't want." And then years later, as it's coming to pass, I'm sticking to what she said. And my pop is like, "That's right. That's what she said." Well, my brother and sister didn't feel like that. They felt like we should do any and everything, and it ran a wedge between me and my older brother because we didn't talk for a year because in his mind, I killed my mom because I didn't want to press any extra stuff.
Force feed her.
Right. And it wasn't that I didn't want it. She said she didn't want it.
Yeah.
And you know, because you were there, you were flying back and forth and you were taking care of her. And it's you know, I tell this story all the time. It's amazing that she was really pressing me for you to continue your nursing. Once you got your you had your LPN, she was like, "Man, she needs to keep going and she needs to get her RN and stay on her." I said, "Okay." So when you graduated, she said, "I want to give her a party now." We don't live 10 minutes from each other, you know. So we had to fly the whole family to Baltimore so she could give you a surprise party for graduating nursing school, graduating with your RN. And then turns out you end up being her final nurse. And I thought that was just amazing for me, for the family. I thought it was great. But getting back to the other people that are involved, sometimes you can't, there's nothing you can do about emotions, really, really. I think that I'm blessed to be able to try to navigate through emotions and deal with what has to be dealt with. And it's good for me because I have you, and you let me make decisions and then help me with the emotional side of it. But everybody doesn't necessarily have that. Everybody doesn't necessarily do that. But so you were saying that, you know, that was the hardest thing for you. What do you think is the most important thing people need to do when it comes to preparing for the end, basically?
Honestly, I think the most important thing is to have that paperwork in place. Like, you know, who is this power of attorney going to be? Because at the end of the day, it'll state, you know, what you want done, you know, what this person wants done, what they don't want done. And when it's all said and done, when they're gone, or when they're in a position where they can't speak for themselves anymore, you have that paperwork and say, this, you know, this is not me making these decisions. This is what he or she said they wanted. And so you can always rely back on that paperwork. Like, this is what he or she said they wanted. Now, in my case, my grandfather was ailing and couldn't make, you know, this. He had changed his mind. He was saying this is not what he wanted anymore, whatever. But I don't think he was really in a state of mind where he was able to do that. But they let him go back on his original decisions.
Right.
And since I was the granddaughter, you know, they kind of like, you know, took over, whatever. But in your case, your dad had, you know, made up his mind, you know, your pop, what he wanted, what he didn't want to do. And it's still hard when you said you bring those emotional, you know, instances in from different family members. It's still hard, but you still have that piece of paper that says, look, this is what I want, you know.
Right.
So I think that is definitely the most important thing to have.
Right. And I'll agree with that 100% because even though the family always knew that he wanted me to handle things, they always knew that. When it came time to make a decision, some people felt they had the ability to make these decisions. And you know, you already know, I called everybody. Well, you called everybody. We called everybody. We got on the phone. We talked, and I let them be a part of it. But ultimately, the decision was ours. The decision was ours to make. But I had some really good family members too, that were like, Uncle Tony, it's whatever you say. You know, we know this, we know that. It's really whatever you say. So I would go back and say, yeah, it is whatever I say, but what I say is based on what we come up with collectively as a family. It's not good being in that position to have to make that decision. It's tough
Because
because
you get all the anger gets directed towards you, all the frustration gets directed
Absolutely.
towards you. You did a really awesome job though with allowing people to vent and put their, what they wanted in there and their decisions and their opinions. You were really, really patient. More patient than I probably would have been. I was just like, wow, he's doing really good with this. And nobody is, everybody, you can't please everybody.
Right,
Somebody's
right.
still going to be upset or
Sure.
whatever. But at the end of the day, you got that paperwork, from the person. It's like, what else can I do? If I do anything different, they trusted me
Right.
to carry this out. So if I do anything different, I'm not, honoring their wishes.
Right, right, right. And you know, one of the things that we did, because everyone was kind of, yeah, it's cool, it's cool. But when someone wanted to flex a little bit too hard, it was good to be able to pull that piece of paper out and say, by the way, this is what he said.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to stand down, because we know the hospital didn't really care. The hospital didn't care how many people we had on that phone
Oh,
call.
yeah.
They just wanted to talk to me.
Yeah.
So I
They
mean,
look at the paperwork.
right, right.
I understand we got 10 people on the telephone, but Mr. Tony Tomlinson, what are we doing?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
At the end of the day, it comes down to a legal decision. Like, they're not trying to be sued or be liable for anything. They want to know what the paperwork says. Do you have the paperwork? It's in order. Everything's decent in order.
Right.
We're going by whose name on the paperwork.
Right. And my nieces were really good about every doctor, every hospital that he went, because he was in and out of hospitals. Even though I can't believe he's gone, he was in and out of hospitals, but he was still pop. And everywhere they would go, they'd hand that paper, and every nurse's station had that paper, and every nurse or doctor in those hospitals knew that they were going to call me if something was to happen, because they made sure the paperwork was out there.
So what do you think is the most important thing in preparing for something like this to happen? You see him getting older. What do you think?
Well, I think that the business has to be in order when it comes to the finances. Even cremation is expensive, and the days of burying them in the backyard are gone. You just can't do that. You have to do something. And funerals, they're for the people. You know what I mean? They're not really for the person that passed. They're for the people. They're for the family to say goodbye. And somebody's got to come up with the money to have this thing. And I think that those policies are extremely important.
The prepaid.
The prepaid policy, or at least a life insurance policy with a beneficiary of someone who's going to do the right thing, or a policy that is already with the funeral home, and then they give you back the rest of the money. I think he did good. Pop did good. He had a lot of that stuff done, and he probably went overboard because he had like who he wanted to do the eulogy and who he wanted to sing and what songs he liked, and he even had that poem that you read at the end.
It takes a lot of stress off of you though.
Absolutely. and I had that stuff downstairs in a filing cabinet for years, since like 2012. My mom passed in 2010, right? So right after she passed, that's when he did that. So I had all that stuff. Now, some of the policies change or whatever, but I think it's important that that's there. And then it's also important that we go back and look and check that stuff, because we sat here and we went document after document, called company after company. He had changed some policy, has moved some things. I think you should definitely check up on that kind of thing.
Not just leave it from 10 years.
Right.
Revisit,
Yeah, I'm thinking everything is locked in, and it's not. It was moved, it was changed, and it just took us a little bit longer. Just stressful to do that. So I think that's huge, because you can't put them away. You can't put them away without any money. And Pop did even more than that. He wanted two services. He wanted a service in Texas, and he wanted it to be buried in Arlington, which that's what that's what he did. He had already paid for it.
George was a little easier on us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. George always says, just strike a match on me. But we did have a good service for him. But
This is pre-planned too, right?
yes, yeah. His was pre-planned. The money was already at the funeral home. So after we picked out everything that we were going to do at the funeral home, they actually sent a check back to Shirley for the remaining of the money, which was actually a good little amount, because he put a lot more up there. And he did that because he knows we weren't going to do what he just said, just strike a match on. He knew we were going to do more than that. So that turned out, I think that turned out pretty good. But definitely have to have that policy up there. Got to have that paperwork.
I was always thinking just the policy is good enough. Got life insurance. But now I'm starting to think we need to do this prepaid funeral arrangement stuff too, because that's going to take less stress off of you or me or the kids or whatever. It's already done.
Yeah. And the only thing you got to do is check a box, pick, and of course, Pop, he had already checked all them boxes and picked everything. But the only thing you have to do is just go through and make sure it's lined up. Yeah, it's not just a policy. I used to think that too. If I can just leave a big pile of money, everything will be all right, and that's not the case.
Because at the end of the day, your loved one is gone, and obviously, if you have the money to bury them, that's going to take off a lot of stress. You don't have to do potlucks and GoFundMe.
Oh my God.
But having that checklist is already prepaid. It's the funeral home already knows what you want. The casket was picked out, the color of the casket,
Right.
this. I mean, if you just find like the rainbow in this situation, that was just awesome.
Yes.
Have all that stuff already picked out. We didn't have to do any of that.
Right. And that takes a heavy burden off of the family or whoever's got to be making these decisions. And we were also lucky that everyone wanting to be people wanting to be a part of it. So we were able to farm some different things out, like the obituary. That can be testy, because he didn't list this person, he didn't list that person. And my answer to everything was, I really don't care. Whatever y'all put in there, however y'all put it in there. People even came to me and said it shouldn't have been listed the way it was listed, because we know how close y'all was, and you should. That doesn't bother me. It would bother the other people more to have it rearranged than it would be for us to do, because we know what our relationship was with them.
Yeah, people really get crazy when someone passes away, like the tedious little things and pettiest little things. They lose their minds, and like you said, it's words on a piece of paper. Like,
right.
I just lost my dad. Like,
right.
Y'all can have these words on paper. Like, it's just not an issue. So yeah, and I bring this topic up because, obviously I lost my first husband tragically.
Right.
Immediately. So I didn't have a prepaid funeral. Thankfully I had some policies to bury him or whatever. And that right there was enough to just like take some stress off of me, because I at least had the money. But all that picking out the casket, the flowers, the suit, oh my gosh, all of that was a lot.
Right.
So if I had a prepaid policy or something, and all that stuff had been already selected, that would have been less of a burden.
Sure. Just like I said, the first one with my mother, I didn't have all of that. But you got my mom's dress, right? Mm-hmm. What is me and my dad gonna do? I don't know about getting a dress. Mm-hmm. We don't know nothing about that. Right. But you had a relationship with my mom, know what she would do, know how she would act. You picked her dress out. But that's just one thing in that checklist that we're talking about. Yeah, nobody know. If you don't know, you don't know. Um, there were a lot of things that we talked about when it came to burying my pop. Like, we should bury him in his uniform. Well, that's a great idea. However, he retired 40 years ago. He can't fit his uniform. So there's just so many things to think about. But that checklist, going down that checklist, just makes it so much easier. I couldn't imagine, and I know, what you went through. I know a lot of what you went through when you buried your first husband. But so you got levels to this, right? We got to bury the person, and then you have everyone's perception that this person left behind millions and millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's just so much money.
That's another, whole different aspect.
Yeah, now everybody's got their hands
all
out.
this money?
Yeah.
Send it to me.
You're right. I didn't get, just like, we talked about before my pop passed, I was looking at getting a new vehicle, right? I said what I wanted. I wanted a Lexus or I wanted a Mercedes. And he passed, and why didn't I get the new vehicle?
Oh my God, because you were worried that people were going to think you got all this life insurance money, you went and bought a vehicle.
Right. Which was not the case. But I still didn't want to, make anybody mad. But, you got levels to it, and people are going to come from different angles and try different things. And, a lot of people have their hands out. And, if you have, I don't care if you have $200,000 in the bank. If somebody needs to borrow some money, it's the same as if you have $200 in the bank. It's a matter of, should I loan this person the money? And two, are they going to pay me back? Because if they're not going to pay me back, this is a simple one. But
That's a different topic.
right, but here they come. So I don't know how. Again, I know there were some strained relationships, not because of anything you did, just because people came at you a different way. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's got all this money, and well, I still got 3 babies to raise while you're talking.
And if I think back, I got pissed off because when I think back about it, ain't nobody paid a light bill, ain't nobody brought a bowl of spaghetti to
Nothing.
neither one of them.
Nothing.
So yeah.
Everybody ate good at the reception and did all that stuff, and then that's it.
You left.
Yeah, so
And God sent you.
yeah, sure did. I might have been at the reception. What do you call it?
The repay.
I might have been at the replay. I might have been the DJ. Yes. Okay. Well, I think we're good on this. We're gonna take us a little break and come back and see what else we can talk about if we can. Once again, this is Mixed Emotions. I'm Tony T, and that's Keena T.
Mixed emotions. Oh, gosh. My phone is going crazy.
So you ready to go right back?
Yeah.
All right. So as soon as this music ends, we'll go right back into the next part, which is what?
Staying committed.
All right. I'll let you lead again. All right. All right. Coming on back after that break. Once again, Mixed Emotions. I'm Tony T, and that's Keena T. Do that voice you did, babe.
Mixed emotions.
What do you say? All right. So we're going to jump into another topic, if you don't mind. Once again, this is Mixed Emotions, and we're trying to do a broadcast at least once a week and talk about things that we may feel that are relevant. But we will be taking phone calls and also enjoying some of the topics that you want to talk about. We'll get something set up where you can send us topics as well. But we're going to talk about something that is very, very important to both of us, which is staying connected in your relationship. Right, babe? Go ahead.
So yeah, this is something that's on my heart and my mind to discuss because we've been married. Nobody really knows how long we've been married because my husband's go-to answer when anybody asks how long you been married. How long you been married?
20 years.
I don't dispute it. We just go with that. But people do ask, you know, like how do you guys stay connected? How do you stay committed? You know, some good pointers. I thought this would be be a good opportunity to discuss some of those things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I think one of the things that, well, first thing, something that I had to do as an individual was I had to understand the 80-20 rule.
Oh my gosh, this is on my notes pad.
Is it
80-20 rule because I've never even heard of that until you brought it up to me. You
real?
discussed it with me.
Yeah. I had to understand that 80-20 rule, and TD Jakes did a sermon about it, and it's just so relevant that, you know, and that's what we do when we're acting out of emotions. We're, oh man, you know what, I'm tired of somebody telling me I need to pick up my clothes. I'm tired of hearing that, so I'm gonna leave. That's 20% of what our relationship is, picking up my clothes. And I just said picking up clothes because that's not an issue for me, but 20% of everything. And I started looking at all the positive things. Excellent mother to my children. Excellent mother to my children. Excellent mother to, I say that 3 times because I've got 3 kids. Excellent grandmother, granddaughter, aunt, you know, just a great all around person. Excellent from me, wanting me to shine, wanting me to do things better than I've done them before, wanted me to go forward with my education, wanted me to go forward with my career. All of those positive things keeps the house clean, immaculate house. Does all the laundry. There's so many things that you do that would make me say, this is not even something that you compare, to be honest. And it wasn't until I grasped that from TD Jakes that I say, this is going to make me a better person. And I think it did because 80-20, 80-20, 80-20. So
And explain that.
explain what?
The 80-20 rule.
So 80-20 is basically saying, that I'm going to leave the person that I'm with to go find someone else that's going to give me that 20%, but I'm going to leave that 80% behind. That I already have. All those good things that I already have, I'm going to leave them behind and I'm going to go chase this 20%. And it's really easy to find somebody with the 20%. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to find somebody with that 80%. So, you know, there's some things that, you know, one thing that I've stuck with since we've been together is I don't like the malls. I don't like going shopping. So the more I process it, I'm like, I could go shopping, but I'm like, nah, I can't, because if I do, I'm opening that door. I don't like to go shopping. So, but I came in day one saying I didn't like to go shopping, right? But there are times when, to please you, I may have to go shopping. I may have to go to that mall. I may have to take that trip to Houston that I don't want to take, and I may have to sit in a car while you go shopping. I may have to do that because I have to meet you somewhere, and I have to keep it. What the young folks say? I have to keep it saucy. I got to keep it saucy or whatever. Okay. So I'll do things that I may not really do, but like you said, in order to stay connected, I have to do some things that maybe I wouldn't. You love rap music, love it. Me too, but I like LL and, you know, those kind of people.
Yeah, and I'm more like new school.
Young Dolph.
Hip hop.
You like rappers that are our kids' age. I like rappers that are my age, right? So facts. That's how our oldest boy says. So, but I support you in that. I support you in what you like, because just because I don't like it doesn't mean I'm gonna make it a problem. Because if I make it a problem, then I'm not keeping it.
That brings up a good point of how you stay committed and connected. Is you let the other person be them. Like,
Absolutely.
You can't change me. I can't change you. Like, you either gonna do this. We're gonna either accept one another and keep it pushing, or it's just not gonna work.
Right.
I can't see a day in my life that I'm just gonna give up rap music. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You know, you told me to pray about it. I'm pretty sure that
How about like, Heavy D, them type of rappers? LL.
it's just not my thing. It's not my thing. I'll listen to jazz with you, um, but my go-to is it's what it is. So, and I need you to be down for that and support me, and you do. We get in
I
the
do.
car, we drive, and you turn it right onto my station.
That's the only time it's on that in my car. When you in there.
But that is a definite, it's a must. You have to let that other person be themselves. Like you just can't change a person like that.
Right.
There is a time for compromise. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. But at the core of it all, I have to be me. You have to be you.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't want to change someone because the person that I fell in love with is that same person. So I don't want to change that person. I don't want you to be me. I say this all the time. People that I surround myself with, and especially my family, I don't ask your opinion because I want you to tell me what I want to hear. I ask your opinion because I want your opinion of it because that's something that I fell in love with, right? So if I change you, then you are going to start to think like I think and do things, and before long, it's going to be two Tony T's
Being
running
a
around.
yes person.
Right. Nobody wants to do that. And now I watched that with George and Shirley. Shirley didn't, had her own thought process. But years and years of being with George Tomlinson, her thought processes start to change. And I'm not saying he pushed her to change, but they did. But just like mine, my thought processes changed. Like, Mary J. Blige is coming to town. I wouldn't even consider going to see Mary J. Blige. Diana Ross. Let's go to Diana Ross. I wouldn't even consider going to see Diana Ross, right? Diana Ross is 90. But I got to think like my wife. My wife loves Diana Ross. So, all right, let's do that. Let's make that an outing, And I'm supporting you. I support you in everything, every decision that you make. I don't agree with every decision that you make, but I still support you. And I'm sure it's the same way with me, even though you probably agree with every decision I make.
Yeah, not so much.
For real?
Yeah, not so much. Not so much. Another thing that's very important to me is just regular date nights or date day. You don't have to be at night, but just something where you just should keep dating your partner. You should. That keeps it spicy. That keeps it interested. It's a long time. So that's something that I think is pretty important.
I used to have a problem with that. Not dating, not hanging out. I didn't have a problem with that. I had a problem with saying it's date night. Like we only date, like, we only hang out, we only do things on this thing. So I was having a problem with that initially. You would post on Facebook date night because we go to dinner. Even though we've been to dinner 7 or 8 times that week, but you would just post that one time, and I was having a problem. I'm not lying, I was having a problem with it. But I said, okay, forget it. I just let it run like that. But now, date night is not just date night. Date night, like you just said, is date day. It's date afternoon. It's
You're on a date right now.
hamburger. This is a fairly inexpensive date for me too. I'm happy. But so I get that. But I had to learn that. I had to learn that from you because I want to please you in our relationship too, and you like that. You like to get dressed up. You like to do your thing, and you don't make me put on a tuxedo or whatever. But you like to get dressed up, and I don't want to, talk too much. But we talked about doing this podcast today, and I was in the basement and I heard shoes, and I'm like, why does she have on shoes? We're doing a podcast. But that's how you get down, right?
I have on heels.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I hear in the basement, heels. You just, that's what you do. So, but I mean, I'm supporting you in doing that. I know it used to make me mad that you would change outfits so many times before we go out. It doesn't bother me anymore. I know you're going to do that. Doesn't bother me one bit. But I had to understand that that's you, and I don't want to change you. You don't line your clothes up in the closet like I line my clothes up. Your stuff is not set up like mine is. I'm 24 years in the Army. My stuff is dress right dress. I know how much. You don't know that. You have what I call organized chaos. You know where everything is. It's just not where it was yesterday, as far as I was concerned. For me, that's a problem because I ain't gonna find it. But I'm not gonna change you. I'm not trying to change you. I adore that in you.
It's a good word.
Adore. Hamburger.
Let's see. How about what do you think about us? How are we doing as far as giving each other space? Like you have your friends, I have my friends. We don't have to spend every day together, every weekend together. You definitely do a good job with letting me, live my life. Like I go out with my girlfriends, my sisters, my cousins. We go to brunch. I come home smashed. You take care of me. And we're good. You go out, do your cigar night or whatever with the boys, and you just you have to have space. Let each other have their own space.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that people have to understand that if you don't have your space, you're going to crowd each other. One of the issues that we had was my friends and their wives may not been your friends.
Yeah.
You guys didn't have anything in common like we did. So hanging out with only couples becomes an issue because I don't really like this person and this person doesn't really like me. But that doesn't, not that I dislike them, but to spend the night out with them, that might be different. Until you have those couples that you know you're good with, then it's probably not a good idea to do it. And then it cramps your style because if my friend is my friend and you don't like his wife and we go out, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
So that defeats the whole purpose. So I need to give you your room because it used to be, and my mindset was, you only go out with couples and you do not hang out with anybody single. Well, that's not the case because you make good decisions. I make good decisions. So that's definitely not the case. I need to give you your room to be able to do what you want. Get out and hang out. You and your friends have things in common because you grew up together.
Right.
Rap music. So I can stay out of that. I can pick them up, pick you up, take you to the airport, do whatever, let you guys do that. And I think that is important to be able to know. You guys got a saying about at the end of the night. What you say got to happen at the end of the night?
Oh, can I say that on here?
Absolutely.
Well, just we go out together, and at the end of the night, we all come home with our panties on. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah, because we have each other's back. We watch each other. You have to be able to, go out and trust each other and know this person I'm with. I'm not just hanging out with anybody. So my husband knows all these women, and he trusts them that I'm gonna come home okay, and vice versa. That person, husband, they're safe with me.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. That's. But I know that's the person that I married. I'm not concerned about it.
Sorry.
For real?
Sorry.
For real? Yeah, that's the person that I married. So, and then you got to do things like, like I know that my wife loves to get a dozen roses. No, she loves that to happen. So every now and then, it doesn't even have to be an occasion, right? It doesn't have to be occasion for flowers. It doesn't have to be occasion for dinner, even high-end dinner. It doesn't have to be an occasion for that, because what do you like to do? You like to dress up. You like to look pretty. You like to go out. So that's just an opportunity for you to go out. So I try to throw that balance in there, or that unbalance in there, that we're going to do things out of sync. I don't want to always do it on this day or that day. Some days I would just want to jump in the car and go for a ride and stop somewhere and do something different.
And you have to know your partner's love language. So for me, my love language, do you know what my love language is? How do I feel loved?
Attention.
You're a mess. It's just that one-on-one time. I love just being the date nights. I just love quality time. Basically, it's for me. If I could get in your shorts right now with you, I'd just be in heaven because I'm like that with you. But that's what I like. That's how I feel love. Just spending like the quality time and just the two of us. Like right now, we're on a date.
Right. Fairly
Yours?
inexpensive date. For me, it is really just to see you smile, just to know that you're happy. That does it for me. I love. I wouldn't necessarily say I love to cook, but I love to cook for you because you like what I cook. You know that I make meals just for you, and it makes me happy when you do the Harris start dancing and singing once you take a bite or whatever. So that's it for me. Just seeing you happy makes me happy.
So is it more like just being appreciative of what you do for me?
Well, yes and no, but the things that I do are things that I know that you like. So if I can surprise you with a bologna sandwich, and that makes you smile, then that's good for me. Or if it's a diamond ring or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's something that you like, and you'll give me the that's when I know I think I did all right, and so I'm good for another 15 minutes.
I have to say, 15 minutes. I do have to say though that you do great with listening and trying to feel my needs. Like if I can just basically say something just random, because I talk to myself a lot during the day.
Yes, you do.
And I could just be like, dang, this cell phone's getting on my nerve. Next thing I know, I have a brand new cell phone at the door tomorrow. That kind of stuff. You are a fixer, and I think men in general are fixers. They don't like to see when they love somebody, they don't like to see somebody they love without. And you do an awesome job with that. Like, I have to really be careful about the things I say that I'm in need of or that I want, because I know there's a box coming.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow.
Absolutely. I don't understand sometimes. I don't understand why you still have that Generation 1 iPad upstairs. This doesn't make any sense. And I've already bought a new one, right? I already got you a new one.
I don't like wasting money. I don't like it. It's hard for me to get rid of things, especially if they still work or,
But still working that's a fluid term. If I have to reboot it every 30 seconds and I have to put this in there, the side of it to get it to go, and I have to buy special cords, it's really not working. It may be working for you, but it ain't working for me. It's easier for me just to get a new one.
That's why I hide those things so you don't get aggravated by them, because I'm like, okay, if he sees this, he sees it in this condition, it's over with.
Right. It's time to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But that's good though. And we never really talk about these type of things. And I know that. Okay, so something else, right? Here's something else that keeps me committed, because I remember how you raised my babies, right? I remember the person you were raising my babies, and how nurturing you were to them, right? Our babies are gone now. Our babies are doing whatever they do. So now we got the grandbaby, right? We got the grandbaby. Now the grandbaby has come in and it has allowed me to see that person that I married taking care of my babies, taking care of the grandbaby, right? And that makes me smile, because you are like over the fucking top when it comes to this baby. He just got a couple packages in today. He doesn't have a job. Shouldn't have packages. The whole living room is just covered with stuff. But I get to see you do that, and that again makes me happy, because you're happy at doing whatever. I haven't said one thing, and I'm not a big person that complain about money, but I haven't said one thing about how much money we spend on this baby. And let me say, you spend on this baby, and it's only going to be good. Some of the stuff we bought him, he's already outgrown.
Thanks.
Right? So but I never complain about that, because that is something that makes you happy. And if we're two professionals working every day, if we can't provide for the grandbaby, we're not the grandparents that we remember, right? I remember my grandmother used to, every time I would go down there, she would pull out a crisp $100 bill and would take me to the store and just let me, that's your $100, whatever you want.
And don't tell anybody.
And don't tell nobody, right? And I used to just love that. I didn't realize.
I think all grandmamas do that then.
Really?
It must, because my granny used to do it to me.
And your granny was probably just like my granny, because my granny never worked.
Never.
So she got that money from my granddaddy.
Of course.
Yeah, so, so we understand, kids understand that their grandparents are givers. They don't take anything, right? And so I don't care about all the things that some of the things that I say you say no, and then I see them show up here. So, I'll be on the right track. But that does make me real happy to see how you are with the grandbaby. He gonna have to toughen up though. He's almost 9 months.
You're getting off something.
You got to toughen up. You got to get tough. Yeah. But that's something that, fortunately for me, that my son did it for me. To stay connected was he brought that grandbaby into his house. So bringing that grandbaby in the house, I think it just locked us in even more. Now we get to be the cool grandparents. We get to do what we want to do. Put a swimming pool, and we put a swimming pool in the living room right now because he's just a baby. When he gets older, we'll let them handle it.
Yeah, just working on goals. What do you want to do as a couple? I have to say, traveling is really important for me.
Lord have mercy.
I like that sentiment. Yeah, so traveling is really important. What did I say from day one? Like, why do we work?
We work to travel for vacation.
Yeah,
That's
we work to pay for vacations and to travel. So you allow me again that space, allow me to be me, and you come along and you like traveling too, not as much as I do. You like to, when you get there, it's vacation for you.
Right. I like, what I like about traveling is I like the process. I like the packing. I like to get into the airport. I like the flying, landing. I like that part. And then when I get there, I just want to chill out. That's my vacation. But I like the process of getting there. Where you, on the other hand, don't really care for the process. You just want to get there, and you just want to do. Now we have some differences of when we get there, because I don't want to do anything. I want to just sit down, and you want to parasail and scuba dive and snorkel and go see the monkeys and jet ski. You want to do all those things, and I don't necessarily, but I compromise and I do some of those things, and you do the same thing. You compromise and say, well, we're gonna,
did this,
so I'm gonna leave him alone. I'm gonna leave him alone. So I think it works out really good. But yeah, you definitely told me we're working for vacations, and COVID almost destroyed my bank account because you had to catch up after COVID, right? On the vacations. I think we went to, was it 37 places right after COVID?
Goodness.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Anything else on your mind that you want to talk about today?
I think I'm topped out.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and try to bring this to an end and get some more information out to the people, letting the people know that this is Mixed Emotions. I'm Tony T, and you are?
Keena T.
She's Keena T. And we're going to do a broadcast at least once a week, and we'll have it out there. So actually, the podcasts are actually out on Apple Podcasts and some other places, but we're going to send it out to our friends. And don't know what we're going to talk about next time because something's always going on in the news, but we'll try to stay focused on what we got going. Anything you want to end with, babe?
Thanks for listening. Well, we're good. What should I be calling you guys?